When you think of superheroes, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Men in tights? Women with superhuman strength? Capes? Lots of superheroes wear capes, but only one wears a coat. A data coat. By day, she's Susan Walsh, but when dirty data rears its ugly head, she becomes the Classification Guru. What are the Classification Guru's superpowers? Consistency, organization, accuracy, and trust. With help from her good friend and trusty sidekick, the Data Whisperer.
Scott Taylor. Hi, Scott.
The Classification Guru wages war against dirty data, fighting her sworn enemies, misclassification, duplicate, and the typonator. It's the Classification Guru's job to clean up the mean streets of Excel City.
That was bang out of order.
So, when you're in Excel hell, don't let dirty data get you down. Call the Classification Guru.
So that's a little bit about what you can expect. Come on, yeah, thank you. So what we're going to talk about today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, how I got here. We're going to talk about the different types of tech that there are. And then what kind of dirty data do we need to be wary of? And of course, what's the impact of that dirty data? Because we all work in different organizations with different data, so it's all going to be different. And then there's the data coat. What is that? Well, you'll have to keep staying and listening to find out. Then I'm going to do a quick how you can spot check your data easily and quickly, although I'm probably preaching to the converted in this room. And then finally we'll summarise, and if you're really lucky, there might be a couple more videos sprinkled in there as well. So, first of all, who am I? Where did I come from? How did I end up talking to you guys today? Well, it's been a bit of a ride. I fell into data by accident. Completely didn't expect it. My first business failed. I was so poor I couldn't even afford to go bankrupt, and I needed a job quickly. So I found an ad online and I went to go and work for a spend analytics company doing spend data classification for procurement businesses. And that really is where I found my love for data. It came naturally. I really enjoyed it. It didn't even feel like work. And then after 6 years ago, I decided to start the Classification Guru. So here I am now. And in that 6 years, we have had over 60 clients that we've helped clean their data and classify it. We've helped global companies working in multiple languages and industries. And we've saved time and money. But basically, what we really do is this. That's how I explain it to people who don't know data. But there's more. There's always more with me. I wrote a book, Between the Spreadsheets. And in there I put all my knowledge, and it's how to classify, clean, normalised data. In fact, it's at the book stand, and we'll be doing a book signing at 4 p.m. if you want to come. Laura's got a copy. I've got a copy. Gus has got a copy. I also started and built a course and launched that this year, fixing dirty data just in Excel. Start with the basics and then build up into other tools. And I've won a few awards and accolades too. And even next week I'm up for Data Champion of the Year again this year. Hopefully I won't get drunk and break the award like I did last year. That's if I win. I'll try and keep it in one piece this time. But that's why I'm here. I really know cleaning data inside out, and it's such an undervalued skill and task, and so important to every single business and job. I'm here to try and bring more importance back to it. So what about the types of tech where there might be issues? Well, of course. We've got AI, machine learning, it's the buzzwords. ChatGPT's coming along and taking everything. There's software. There's ChatGPT and Gen AI, like I was saying, and even things like CRM and ERP systems. You are going to find dirty data in all these different areas. And if you don't clean it before you implement these things, you're going to have problems. So the question is AI going to take my job? Well, no, it's really not. It's not. And here's why. When it comes to technology implementation, data cleaning is often neglected. It's the first thing that needs to be done. think about ChatGPT and AI. Where is the source of that data? How do we know it's accurate and true and trustworthy? Can we rely on that information? When we change our ERP systems, are we just throwing all the old data into the new system and so it's still messy? Do we have multiple records? You know, a lot of the time these things are implemented and the errors are only discovered afterwards, and it takes so much time and costs a lot of money to fix afterwards. Your team, your staff might lose faith in the data, become disengaged, claim it doesn't work, and then they don't trust it. And it can cost a lot of money to fix, like way more than if you just cleaned it in the first place. It's a lot often harder to unpick what you've done rather than just starting with a clean slate. You have to hope that if you do clean it and fix it, that the staff will adopt that new technology. And this picture has nothing to do with anything apart from the fact that I thought it was really cute. And then you'll probably remember it more. And then you have to accept the fact that the project might be abandoned. And I've heard stories of tens of millions of pounds and dollars being wasted on projects where they've bought the software, they've installed it, and then guess what? Nobody uses it. We're all using our Excel files over here and here and here and here. Nobody's interested. So what about AI, machine learning, and Gen AI? Well, again, it's got to be cleaned and prepared beforehand. At the moment, a lot of the ChatGPT stuff is years old information. It's not even accurate. You know, can you trust it? Is it accurate? Where did they get it from? Has anyone checked it? AI is learning from training data sets, but where do those training data sets come from? They come from clean data. And how do we get that clean data? We need people like myself and my team, the people who enjoy it, you know, and there's not that many of us, but probably more here than usual, but it's you know, it's really important. And even machine learning, you know, those codes and rule-based information that you are building, it's based on the data you're looking at, and if you're looking at wrong data, you're going to build the wrong code. So what happens when it goes wrong? Well, if you don't tag or categorize your data properly, is your AI going to know if it's a muffin or a chihuahua? Is it going to know if it's a dog or a bit of fried chicken? Is it going to know if it's a dog or a mop? Even worse, a parrot or guacamole? And it's really important. Even things like this need to be cleaned, checked, and classified by humans before we can put it into the AI. And I say it's like this. This is my new saying. The job of cleaning data is like that of collecting the trash, something that has to be done, nobody wants to do it, yet society or business will fall apart if it's not done. So, you know, nobody comes and collects your rubbish each week, society is a mess, all kinds of diseases, people start fighting with each other, all kinds of things. It's exactly the same with clean data. If you don't clean it and leave it messy, your business is going to fall apart from the inside out, and you might not even know it's happening. So what about the dirty data to be aware of? What are the types of dirty data? And this is where I'd like some audience participation. Who wants to shout out some types of dirty data? Gus? Dates, yep. Duplication. Typos. You've been to my sessions before, haven't you? Guys, there's biscuits down there for you at the end if you want to collect one. Thank you. So let's start with the misspelt words and typos. Happens all the time. The number of times I've seen travel misspelt in spend data, people typing in their expenses. In fact, you guys might even be guilty of this yourselves if you're working for a large organisation. Oh my God, I've got to put my expenses in, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, spelt it wrong. Happens all the time. But then there's also incorrect descriptions, which are different from typos, because it could be that someone has cut and pasted the wrong information into the cell or column. And then missing information. So that could be missing cities, missing states, postcodes, for example. Or it could be missing codes from products that have been set up, or missing product sizes and dimensions, all those kinds of things. And then information in the wrong columns. Okay, hands up how often you see the postcode in the town column. Yeah. Or the town or the city in the postcode, or zip code for our US friends. It happens all the time. Or you see the whole address squeezed into one little cell. It's a nightmare. And then there's no standard units of measure. We are increasingly a global community in business and other. But is it meters or is it inches? Is it litres or is it pints? Is it ounces? Is it miles or is it kilometres? It's something that we all have to struggle with. And you could be talking to your colleague in the US, or if you're in the US, in the UK, and then you're talking about the same thing but in different sizes, and then you end up both setting up the same product but slightly differently. And then currency too. So do you know when you're looking at your numbers if everything is in the same currency? And the only way that we kind of know when we're working with data is looking at things like taxes, for example. If I have more than one or two $500 pound taxes, then we've got a problem in our spend data. And that's kind of how we kind of know if we're using the right information. And then formatting, and this is my favourite, dates. If we could all type some chat right now, I'd ask you how you format your dates. Is it day, month, year? Month, day, year? Year, month, day? And then how do you separate those? Is it dashes, slashes, dots, or no separator at all? Within this room, we've probably got about 5 to 10 different variations of dates. And I've done this with people in sessions from people from the same company who are all formatting their dates incorrectly. That means that you can't match documents up, you can't find what you're looking for, and it can cause a whole load of problems. But ultimately, all those things cause what are known as our good friends, the duplicates. They show up in every single data set that you can ever think of. And we can help trying to kind of minimize that by reducing the number of all this kind of stuff. Now, I like to give you examples of real-life dirty data. We all like to see the real gross stuff. So first of all, let me show you some supplier data. I'm not kidding when I tell you this was one supplier who spelt St. Paul a couple of different ways, and then also Centre. So that created multiple versions of the same address for one supplier. And then we have material part descriptions. We see this a lot now. If you look, everyone just sets up a product any way they want. Doesn't really matter. So what we've done is we've come in and we've standardized the way that the products are ordered. So they have a defined setup. So every time now when a new product is set up by that client, their team will do it to what's on the right so that everything will be standardized. So they've all got their own naming conventions. Same with this. This was a company in Germany. They had lots of different hubs where they had the same product, and they each set up their own SKU for each hub. So what we did was we grouped it and found that actually where the colour blocks, they're all the same product. So instead of all those individual products there were only a handful. And then it's not just data like that. We did some projects with latitude and longitude. So we were looking for business estates in Europe. So when we checked the latitude and longitude, guess where it is? It's in the middle of the ocean. When we looked at the data, switched it round, guess what? It's there, we found it. And you can use the data as clues to find out what's right. When we looked at that in context with the rest of the data, we could see that it didn't look right, and that's how we knew to flip it round. And of course, it's easy for me to stand here and say, oh yeah, look at this, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. But when we have a big data set, and most of you are probably not using Excel, I would hope not. We all use different tools, but it's very hard to kind of pick out those things that aren't right. So I'm going to give you some tips at the end on how you can go and spot check your data. But what about the impact of that dirty data? Well, there's analytics as well. Here is something that we do in the business quite a lot. We normalize supplier names to a standard convention. So here's a few that we see quite a lot. When we normalize this, look, there's only 4 suppliers. And the value of spend, and this could be spend, it could be quantity, it could be sales, it could be anything, changes significantly. So how much is that going to impact the decision making when you look at that versus the original? And then classification, that's what we do. I'm the classification guru. We took a data set for a client recently and classified all their data. And what we found at the end is legal services was actually 40% higher in spend terms than what they thought. Some of it was sitting under estates, marketing, HR, management consultancy, even property. And we're talking millions of pounds here that was missing from their spend. That's going to affect things like the negotiations that they have with solicitors. That's going to increase the number of suppliers they have. It's going to have a real impact on how they make decisions on their day-to-day business. So then there's the data coat. What is the data coat? Well, it's something that I created because data problems are people problems. And a lot of people who work with data are not necessarily data professionals. So I came up with something to kind of get everybody on board and engaged to be motivated to keep their data clean and organised. So it's a framework to help minimise those errors. It's to help with data governance. It's to engage data and non-data professionals. And guess what? It's memorable and fun because we've got to add a little bit of fun into this area. We need to get people on board with us. So, the data coat. First of all, it's consistent. C for consistency. Let's have those standard terms, processes, naming conventions. Let's all have that documented and written down and agree what they are so everybody's working the same way. And then organise it. So if you're in a business that needs to know the sales or purchases by everything that you've got, then have that categorised, ready to go. How much did we sell in the US last month? Have that categorised and ready to go. What about accuracy? Define what that is within your department. You know, finance, you need to be 100% accurate, but marketing, we might need certain key data points, name, address, etc. So again, define what that is. And then once you have your consistent, your organised and your accurate data, guess what? It's trustworthy. And that is the thing that we all hear the most as data professionals, is that we don't trust the data. So by trying to engage this, I'm not saying that we're going to make data perfect because it doesn't exist. We can minimise the errors. And if you need a little bit of help and reminder what that is, then here's a little video for you.
Question. Why did the jalapeno wear a coat? Huh? Because he was a little chilly. Sorry about that. What we really wanted to talk to you about is data coats. Unprotected data can lead to bad business decisions that cost money and put jobs at risk. That's why you need to make sure your data has its coat on. But how do you choose which data service is the best for you? Well, much like the coats we wear, there's a varying range of price, quality and reliability. You might be tempted by the low-cost option, but this is cheap, fast fashion. It'll barely last the season before it's out of favour. And it definitely won't protect you from the elements. Then there's the high-end option, the type that breaks the bank, just so you get that designer label. They're so impractical and come with such complicated care instructions. Don't be too afraid to wear it. And what's the use in that? And last but by no means least, there's your favourite jacket. With you through thick and thin, protecting you and your data from the elements. It's dependable, reliable, and always in style. Words that perfectly describe the Classification Guru services. Dependable, reliable, and with a touch of glam. Visit theclassificationguru.com to find out.
And just to add, yes, I have a glass of Prosecco by me all the time while I'm working. So how about spot checking our data? It might seem like a really obvious thing, but sometimes it's good to just take it back to basics in Excel. It's not always the easiest option, but sometimes, we just need to... People like Excel. It's comfort, it's familiarity. So if we can get them started on that, then at least we're getting them started. So first of all I did was I took some normalized suppliers and some categorization. And then I put it in a tabular form because Excel and pivot tables like to just have it in a crazy organized way. Take off the subtotals. And then I have a nice list of information. Now, in my world, I'm looking at the supplier name on the left, and then we've got what it's categorized as, and Dell's sticking out here because it's been classified as a courier. Now you might think that's crazy, but actually what happens is each line of the invoice gets imported into the system. So shipping and carriage is part of the price of buying the product from Dell. So we would always classify that as a computer because that cost is part of the computer. We're not paying Dell for a courier service. So that's a really good way. Again, we could do it by category, so we could look at like legal services, and then if you've got DHL in there, you know something's gone wrong. If you're working with products, it could be exactly the same thing. You know, do a search for apples, and if someone's classified it as a vegetable, you know you've got problems. So it's just little, simple, quick things like that. Even things like we do searches for hotels, restaurants, lawyers. If the obvious things are misclassified, then you tend to have a bigger issue with your data. And what the obvious things are in your own data sets will vary hugely. But it's a really good, quick way of just checking to see, feel for the quality of the data in your organization. Because that's something that a software tool can't tell you if it's right or wrong. It doesn't know, it just learns. And again, like I was saying, it's all about looking for patterns and recognition in the data. So here we can see that actually it stood out pretty quickly that something didn't look quite right here because everything else around it was a different format. Same with the addresses here. I mean, for some reason we've got Coronation Road twice, but as we all know, Excel loves a space and loves to create extras just because there's a space there. So what we might want to do is do a trim function to reduce that first. But as you can see, there's a couple of things that stand out there. So this latitude is slightly shorter than the other ones around it, and that might be correct, but it might also be inaccurate, so it's worth having a look and just checking. And really it is, it's the more you look at your data and the more you're familiar with it, the easier these things will be to spot. And as I say, you know, your own data will have its own special kind of points that you can look at. So, for example, for us as well, when we classify hotels, anything over, say, £10,000 is probably going to be venue hire and events management rather than accommodation. But most people might just put hotels all under accommodation. Now, if that's an important thing for you to be measuring and tracking, that's going to dirty your data up pretty quickly. So, what have we learned in this session? Well, first of all, you guys are fun. Thank you very much. And there are no shortcuts when it comes to data quality and data accuracy. You have to put the work in. There's no magic tool or software out there that's going to fix it all for you. You have to clean the data before you start. It's so, so important. And agree those common standards, terms, and processes for everyone. And more important than anything is maintenance of your data, because if you clean it and leave it, guess what? It's going to be back to where it was within 12 months, and you're back to square one. And of course, make sure your data has its coat on. So make sure it's consistent, organised, accurate, and trustworthy. And once you put that data coat on, make sure it stays on all year round, no matter if it's summer or not. And if that wasn't enough to encourage you to go and shout about the benefits of cleaning your data, here's another little video for you.
Hi, I'm Susan Walsh, and companies across the globe are at it. They're replacing their third-party spend classification tools with the Classification Guru, a specialist in spend data classification, taxonomy customization, and data cleansing. Dirty data, nasty typos, stubborn duplicates.
Thank you.
The Classification Guru does it all. Don't waste your time on multiple data cleaning products. You only need one. The Classification Guru. Bam, and the data is clean.
Okay, that's me. Thank you so much. Thank you. Woo woo. Thank you. You can find me in all of these places and probably yourself on a Lip Sync Sunday very soon. That's also the QR code for my LinkedIn, so I hope to see you on there. Thank you so much.